Now, the British Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has penned a column for The Times, arguing that there is a perception that senior police officers are playing favourites when it comes to protesters. They can be very heavy-handed when it comes to some protesters on the right side of politics, but they do not want to upset pro-Palestinian protesters, BLM, climate change activists, for example. What did you make of this piece by Braverman?
I thought it was a much needed intervention. Suella Braverman is one of the few brave people in British politics. She actually speaks for the majority of the British public, in my view. And she's completely right simply on this issue of policing. We've seen in recent years, first of all, when the BLM protests went on in London, which got very unpleasant, we had officers of the Metropolitan Police taking the knee when the crowd insisted that they do so. And they actually did in that, that gesture that people did at the time.
Oh, yes.
As a sort of kowtowing gesture. They actually did that. We've seen Extinction Rebellion and other eco-loon protests where the police have actually, there was one protest, they shut down a bridge in London and there was video of a policeman actually sort of like getting on a skateboard and playing with the activists instead of wrenching them off the roads and getting them arrested. There's no doubt that there's a double standard in policing, and we've seen it in spades in recent weeks with the anti-Israel demonstrations in London and across the UK. People have been threatened with arrest if they go near these protests carrying an English or a British flag, because that would be, Rita, inflammatory. But at the same time, the police have stood idly by as people have called for jihad, for genocide, and much more. It's an obscene double standard, but we can see why. One police officer even said as much last week on camera, said, "We're outnumbered here." So they are clearly intimidated by this mob. I think that's wrong. I think that Braverman is absolutely right to say there's a double standard and it has to change.